How long did it take you to paint that? As an artist, I find this question one of the most difficult queries to answer. Anytime I'm out in public with my artwork, be it at an art fair, gallery demo, exhibit, or even when someone's visiting the studio, I can guarantee this question will come up at least once. The person in front of me is asking in all seriousness, and I don't want to be flippant with a smart sounding reply of, "It took me a lifetime," which is actually a true statement. The accumulation of knowledge and practice over the past 40 plus years has enabled me to paint with a skill that allows me to perform at a higher level than when I was a beginner. But that just doesn't seem to be the best answer. As the question starts rolling off the tongue of the person in front of me, my mind flashes back to the time I actually spent in front of the easel with brush in hand. I calculate how many hours, excluding lunch and potty breaks, I've spent. Those hours then run into how many days, weeks, and at times years it took me to finish the work that they're admiring. I'm trying very hard to calculate an accurate response, which has my head spinning by this time. But wait, there is more to it than that. My brain has to stop, regroup, and think about what went into the entire creative process. First, there has to come the idea behind the artwork. Where did that idea come from? What was the excitement about this particular subject that compelled me to get a canvas out and paint it? Was it inspired during a hike through a Florida slough with birds wading and flying among the trees? Or walking across the fields of the Kentucky farm I grew up on? Or while driving down the highway and catching a glimpse of a meandering creek or a well-worn old barn? I've had to stop and turn around many times to take photos of a scene just because the lighting was perfect at that moment. A subject I saw yesterday and didn't get inspired by may look completely different tomorrow at another time of day and different lighting. I'm always looking through an artist's eyes at the world around me. I'm a believer in taking my own reference photos. That keeps the images I use with my own unique view. Another artist would take a completely different set of reference photos from different angles, using different lighting. Something else might inspire them that I didn't notice, or I went the other direction with it. It also gives me a sense of knowing the place. The feeling of solitude and peacefulness is more apparent when you're out standing in the middle of it. I've had to learn the drawbacks of using photography as reference material. Even with professional equipment, the camera still can't see the way our eyes see. The shadows will be too dark, or the highlights will be blown out to white, and that distorts the perspective also, just to name a few of the shortcomings. But without the camera, I could not catch the action of the birds in flight or that all too quickly setting and rising sun that I love to paint. Another way I become more familiar with the subject is by painting on location. Called in plein air, or in the open air, has become very popular with many representational artists. Seeing and studying the subject while taking the time to paint fills an artist with more valuable information than just using a photo back in the studio. Back in the studio, there are lots of decisions to make. I may take elements from several photos to use in one painting. Sometimes I spend hours just deciding which way a composition will look best, including the size and orientation of the canvas. Will it work better horizontal or vertical, large or small? I used to do this strictly on paper with pencil, but now the computer has become a great tool for composing, giving me the ability to try out several options for placement of key elements in the composition. Once satisfied, I can sketch directly onto a canvas from the computer screen. Oh, I just about forgot about the time spent on that canvas. If it's a large size, I have already triple coated it with gesso, sanding between each coat, and sealing it with warm tone to cover up the white. Even the smaller, smooth linen canvases get sealed and toned. Taking a whole day occasionally, I tone and seal a bunch of canvases in a variety of sizes out in the garage, let them dry for a couple of days, and then store them back in my spare bedroom. That way, when I'm ready to start painting, they are ready and waiting. With practice, any craftsman should get better and faster as skills are honed and perfected. Artists are no different. As the years have gone by, my application of paint has become a smoother endeavor. I don't sweat as much over which decisions are right. I don't make as many mistakes, which allows me to be more creative since I'm not struggling with technique. With that being said, each blank canvas equates to a new problem to be solved. I think this challenge is the reason I keep putting a new blank canvas on the easel. I look at it and wonder how it will turn out. I have an idea, but that is just an image in my head that will have to be translated into paint using color, value, and brushstrokes. There is a problem with a painting hanging around my studio for too long. It could possibly not be finished until it's out of my sight. At times, I have reworked a painting that I was originally satisfied with, but later realized it could be improved. Or I simply think, what if I change this one thing, which will lead to changing something else, and on and on. That can have a snowball effect. So the next time someone asks me, how long did that take to paint? I better take a deep breath and make sure my brain doesn't fixate on only the hours with brush in hand.